Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Friday. Seriously, I hope all of you are good. There's plenty of reasons to be happy. If for nothing else, yes, we do have rights if you're looking at the title, but we're going to talk about that. Is the Second Amendment a right or is it a privilege? And just to make things a little more confusing, and it's not really that confusing, I suppose. Do we have Second Amendment rights or don't we? I'm also going to talk about constitutional carry, whether you support it, and I'm going to give you guys my insight on it. I kind of support it generally. I'll give you guys a teaser, but I actually kind of don't. And before you get mad at me, I'll explain. I'll explain it as much as I can. And just something I want all of us to think about, the concept of the government granting you the rights of constitutional carry. Just think about that for a second. And we'll definitely talk about it. Also, a couple events coming up. I'm going to be at the 2A Days in Fowlerville, Michigan tomorrow. I know a lot of you are planning on coming. I can't wait to see you guys. So I'm going to be there in Fowlerville, Michigan. It's going to be awesome. Weather's supposed to be beautiful, like 72 and sunny. What more could you ask for, right? I'm also not going to be doing my stream from here next Friday. I'm still going to be doing my stream next Friday, but it won't be here. I'm going to be out of state at another event. You guys can guess what that is. And I don't know. I might let you guys know tonight. I might let you know later in the week, but I'm actually going to be able to get out of town and head out of state and do a little bit of traveling this next week. And I'm really excited about that too. Also, for all of you that guessed in my budget shotguns video, that fourth gun, for those of you that watched near the end, so many of you guessed it's the Model 10. It's not the Model 10, but you're extremely close. And I want you guys to leave it in the chat right now, which I do come back and read later, okay? A couple people actually, I know Ting Ting and maybe a couple other people were saying like, hey, why don't you make this a small little, I don't know if you call it series, but like a repeatable thing where I grab like an obscure gun, throw it at the end of a video and say, what is this? You guys can have fun guessing, talking about it. And then the next week come back and do a review on it. I don't know. It was an idea a couple of the viewers had and sounds like fun to me. So man, look at all these good people in the chat right now. You guys are awesome. I can't read all of your chats because there's just so many more of you than me, but I definitely go back and read them over the weekend. And that's what literally gives me the encouragement to come back. Because you know this country, when it started, the Declaration of Independence, I keep going back to that. And I'm going to keep talking about it because not many people are talking about the Declaration of Independence. But it's one of the most beautiful documents ever written with wisdom, written with a high degree of morality. And if we could still abide by the Declaration of Independence, I believe this country would be a beautiful place. And there's a lot of things that are beautiful about this country. And I don't want all of you to swallow the black pill and be miserable. You should be happy. But there's a lot of stuff going on in this country that makes a lot of us quite sick, doesn't it? And it makes a lot of you angry. And I understand why you're angry, and you have the right to be angry. And it literally says that the government is instituted among men, right? And it also talks about that we have certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But what we don't talk about a lot, and I see my buddy Freedom Mink in here, okay? Make sure you check out his channel because he's one of the people talking about this. By no means am I the only one talking about this. Freedom Inc. isn't the only one, but there's very few of us. And it's the whole idea. And that's really what this country was. This was an experiment on self-governance where the founding fathers, they knew, right, Freedom Inc.? They knew that we had these certain unalienable rights. Now, that didn't only include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It said amongst these. And then they put it again in the 9th Amendment, right? They said just because we're enumerating certain rights that we're acknowledging, not given to us by government, but acknowledged, just because we're going to write down some of them in the Bill of Rights, it includes so much more. In fact, it includes basically almost infinite amount of rights. And this was actually, there's no rights granted whatsoever by the Declaration of Independence. There's also no rights granted in the Bill of Rights. And we talk about this a lot, but we need to talk about it because you're listening to your governors right now, aren't you? Saying that, well, you may have the right to breathe fresh air again. You also, in some of the, we'll say more conservative states, Republican leaning, there's many ways to describe these things. They're also starting to tell you things like, we are now going to grant you the right to constitutional carry. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. The idea that did the government give you your rights? Did the founding fathers, as smart as they were, James Madison, very, very smart person. Read the Federalist Papers, Alexander Hamilton. No doubt, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Ben Franklin. We could go on and on. Many, many good ones. In fact, if we had people in government like that today, I think we'd be a lot better off, wouldn't we? And I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, and there's only one way to read this because this is very frank language. This is very easy to understand language. The founding fathers, they didn't give you any rights, and they knew they weren't giving you rights. All they were doing is literally saying, people have rights. Certain unalienable rights. These are laws of nature and of nature's God. Whatever it is that you believe created you, you don't have to be a Christian, okay? But whatever you believe is that higher being. And even if you're an atheist and you don't believe in a higher being, certainly, I would hope nobody watching right now believes the government is your creator. Just think about that. Because if you think that the government's giving you your rights, you also have to immediately assume or acquiesce to the fact that the former vice president, we call him, right? And we call him many other things, but this is a family-friendly show. You would have to also immediately admit that this former vice president gave you your rights. I would hope nobody would agree with that. I would also hope you would agree that Donald Trump didn't give you your rights, okay? And that also George Washington didn't give you your rights, and neither did Thomas Jefferson. No, these rights have pre-existed this current civilization that we're in. And once this civilization is long gone, and this civilization will be gone someday, everything must come to an end, right? I'm hoping we can keep the dream, the idea, because that's basically all we have left right now is an idea of this republic, of this constitutional republic, where we have law and order, but the laws are to constrain the government, and that the duty of the government, and the only reason the government is supposed to exist, is to protect our God-given natural rights. Nature's God, Christian God, whatever God that is for you. If you're Muslim, if you're Jewish, it doesn't matter. The point is the government, not the founding fathers, not the current government. They did not give you your rights. But we talk about Second Amendment rights all the time. And I'm not trying to be pedantic. I'm really not. Like when someone says, hey, I support 2A rights. Like I get it. And I guess it's okay to a point to talk like that. It's certainly better than saying, I'm anti-2A and I want to ban every gun there is. I get it. But I think really with what's going on right now, with how far left the other side's gone, where they literally are telling us, they're emboldened. They're saying we want the Australian-style gun control. They're literally telling you they want to confiscate and take all your guns. I think we need to come back to some of the core principles of this country, and we need to remind each other of what the core principles truly are, and where we don't get watered down and we don't fall victim to, well, I have a Second Amendment right. My governor in the state of Iowa just granted me constitutional carry. And then look, let me come back again, because this stuff is complicated and it's hard to put it into words, but you guys are all smart people, and I think you understand what's going on here. Yes, on the surface, it's better for your governor to have signed constitutional carry, okay? It's better, I guess that's better, right, than them saying, we're going to put in an AWB that's going to restrict everything to 10 rounds. Is that better? I don't know. It sounds tempting. I mean, we're just human beings. So when somebody gives us some type of low-hanging fruit, we like to grab onto something because we're watching the whole country and the whole world de-evolving into chaos. I don't know. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure that I have all the answers, but I just want to bring up this topic because, again, not many people talk about it, and just get you all thinking and offer me any of your thoughts in the comments as we're going on here. And I will read them afterwards, okay? Is constitutional carry a good thing? I actually don't quite know. And I'm being dead serious when I say that. Look, I'm going to start off. I'm going to read this. I've read it a lot. And if it bores some of you guys, I'm sorry. But we have to put a little effort forth. Because for too long, for too many generations, people just didn't care. And they said, but my constitutional rights, but the red, white, and blue, that'll just preserve it. Look, no. Piece of parchment paper, a flag, none of this is going to save your rights. Like literally each generation had to keep preserving and fighting for this experiment on self-governance. And in my opinion, not many of them have. And you guys are the ones that are watching this stream that are basically, literally, you should take this as a little bit of burden on your shoulders. We have a lot of work to do, but you should also wear it as a badge of honor. The people that are hanging out right now, you guys are probably our last chance. Our last chance to preserve this, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another. Democrats, Republicans, look, that's what this is all about. These political bands, these are just tying us up. No politician is going to set you free, and that's what they meant by that. To dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. Entitle is a very powerful word, and don't forget that. You are entitled to the laws of nature and nature's God. Not privileged, but entitled, and they're two totally different words. I don't want to confuse them with each other. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Unalienable, look that word up. Also a very powerful word, very specific word. It literally only means one thing, doesn't it? Certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay, that's it. But why do we have a government? Well, that's easy. It's right here. And we need to keep remembering this. That to secure these rights, secure, not grant, not give. It also doesn't say privileges, does it? That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. That's your right. And that's what the Declaration of Independence says, and that's what I believe. And I hope a lot of you still believe in this too, because this is good. And what's going on right now, a lot of it's quite bad. And to institute new government. See, this isn't just an end. This isn't just a dead end. They're giving you opportunity here, something to hope for. And we should have hope. And we should have encouragement. And to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate the governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. We can't just abolish the Constitution every day because there's people here and there that don't like it. And that's what they're trying to do right now. And we're not a democracy, because a democracy is literally mob rule. And it ends up being two wolves voting against one sheep on what's for dinner. And that's not the way the government was set up. You're not going to see democracy in here anywhere, because we're not a democracy. And we need to reject people that try to pigeonhole us in and say we're a democracy, because it's a completely different form of government than a constitutional republic. It says, and accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable. And that's where things like constitutional carry come into play, because they're saying, hold on a minute, we're going to throw you a bone. We're going to give you, I see Freedom Mink still in here, like he says a lot in his streams. They give you just a little bit of illusion of freedom and liberty, just enough to keep you on the hook, right? That mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. And I think that's the thing right now. They always just nurse you and throw you just a little bit of a bone, don't they, right? Just to keep you on the hook, because they don't want to let it get too bad, because that's what the next part of the Declaration talks about. And you know what? It's getting to the point now where I think more of the people fear the government, and that's why we use words like tyranny. Well, the government is supposed to fear the people, and then you have liberty. And it says, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. Absolute despotism. They're basically saying that people aren't going to do anything about it until they hit rock bottom, and that's kind of been the American way for way too long, hasn't it? I say that kind of sarcastically, but I get it. We're just human, right? Well, we're probably going to have to start doing a little better, in my opinion. It is their right. It is their duty to throw off such government. It's your right and it's your duty. Look, these are not necessarily synonyms. the right granted to you by your creator, okay? The duty, that's something you're compelled to. That's not optional. It's saying that you have the duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Then they say such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and I would argue such has been the patient sufferance of a lot of us today, right? So if we have a right, literally endowed by your creator, I think this is a fine definition, certain unalienable rights that are endowed by their creator, right? These are laws of nature, and nature's God. Okay. Now, for something to be a right, what if I said that most of us, all of us good law-abiding folk, because we hear that a lot, and I hear it so often in gun channels, so often, by very prominent ones, and I'm sure they're very fine channels. That's why people like to watch them so much. But they always say, we need to protect the rights of the law-abiding, don't they? And then people will come on further and they'll say, well, if you have a CPL in Michigan, then you have the right to keep and bear arms while you're traveling around. Do you guys hear stuff like that? It doesn't make any sense to me because, see, if only certain people get to partake in a right, it's actually not a right at all. For something to be a right, every single person must have it. And when I mean everybody, I literally mean everybody. Like, everybody must have it, or it's actually not a right. It actually becomes a privilege. Now, I know some of you are sitting here thinking, well, hold on a minute. I don't want this guy he's a serial killer. He's no chance of reform. He's not going to get... I get it. You guys don't want him to be out on the street shooting you. We'll talk about that in a minute. But think about what I'm saying here. If you have a right, if there's one person, okay? If there's one person out there that doesn't have that right, it becomes a privilege. Just let that sink in for a second. It's taken me a long time to completely wrap my mind around this, and I'm still learning every day, guys. I'm not George Washington. I'm not going to be able to fix your problems. But at the same time, we talk about somebody being privileged. Okay, someone has the privilege to be able to go on vacation all the time because they have more money than other people. That's somebody being privileged. They have more opportunity to do things than other people. As soon as you say one person does not have the right, okay, does not have the right to keep and bear arms, instantly, by sheer definition, it becomes a privilege because now we've set up two different classes of people, the haves and the have-nots. And you've said, well, these people, in many cases, you have to pay money, don't you? And you have to get a permit, which is asking permission from the government. And then if according to all of their different check boxes and ways that they're going to judge you as a person, whether they find you fit or not, right? Then they decide whether you can have the Second Amendment rights. And I'm using air quotes for those of you that are listening when I say that. Look, every single person has the right to keep and bear arms. And they always will until they leave this earth. And then it's going to go on to something different than this earth. And many of us believe it's going to be something a lot better. And all these earthly problems will be so small, we'll kind of laugh at them, right? But while we're here on earth, every single person has to have the right to keep and bear arms, or it's not a right at all. Because if you get rid of it for one single person, it's now a privilege. Even if it's 329,999,999 people can bear arms in the United States, but one person can't, well, it's a privilege that the vast majority get to enjoy. Do you guys think I'm nuts, or have you actually thought about it this way before? It's an interesting concept, and it's one that I think we should be talking about amongst ourselves and with our friends, right? Second Amendment rights. That's another very close related thing to this. It's all kind of the same concept, and it's literally us just kind of going back to what the roots of what this country was truly founded upon and the wisdom that the founding fathers had. And it's actually a really beautiful thing. I don't mean any of this tonight to be a negative topic, but it's probably different than what you were taught most of your life in a lot of ways, right? Max Shot 62 with the super chat. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, dude. And for being a channel member. Thank you. He says, they have been shoving cradle to grave socialism down our throats for over 100 years now, brother. The cancer needs to be removed. And this is what they're talking about when they say despots. You know, socialism, yeah, it's a fine line, but I would argue, and many people are arguing this, that we're probably getting closer to communism than we even are socialism, right? Yeah. I know. I agree, Max Shot. Thanks, man. Always survive. Thanks for the super chat, man. It said freedom. See you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Awesome. And that is what we want. And this is a super positive topic we're talking about. And I hope you guys, can critically think a little bit about it, but that you'll kind of have a smile on your face when you're done, right? Now, look, they do talk about us having a government that would be there to preserve our rights, to protect our rights, because there's tyrants all over the place. A tyrant doesn't have to be a government, man. I mean, they're probably of the most tyrannical type, obviously. Many of them are. Pretty much all of them. I still do believe in small local government, by the way, guys. I do. I actually do believe in us having a federal government, just not like anything even closely resembling to what we have now. Like, when I say not even closely, there's probably about 1 million times too much of it. Like, literally, a couple million. If someone says, no, 280 to you, you're wrong. We don't have 1 million times too much federal government. We have 5 million times too much federal government. And I would agree with you, too. So when I say 1 million, I'm probably off. I'm exaggerating on the extremely low side of things, right? Okay, so rule of law. I want rule of law, and I think all of you should want it too, because if men were angels, that's what Federalist Paper 49 says. If men were angels, we wouldn't need any government at all, would we? But men are not angels, and regular old people, there's tyrants amongst those people that are going to try to rule over you and create their own rule of law. And people have the right. People have the rights endowed by their creator, but people do not have the right to take your life away from you. They don't have the right to murder you. So, yeah, we need some rule of law. Sure. Rule of law meaning the Declaration of Independence, that lays out how it's all supposed to be started. And then the actual law of the land would be the Constitution, right? Its preamble. And then the Bill of Rights. Once you get past the Bill of Rights, actually a lot of the amendments to the Constitution, in my opinion, start becoming perversions of the Constitution. And many of the amendments, once you get past the first 10, in my opinion, become very unconstitutional in and of themselves. So, rule of law, Constitution, Bill of Rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that you're endowed these by your creator. And since the government didn't give it to you, they can't take it away. If we had that, think about how beautiful that would be. What more would you need? We wouldn't be arguing right now and talking about what types of letters that people are going to be writing to the ATF about reclassifications of a firearms frame, what's supposed to have a serial number, what isn't. But that is where we find ourselves right now, isn't it? We find ourselves to the point where if you really stop and think about it, now that's not what the Second Amendment is. The Second Amendment is a prohibition, okay, of the government. It prohibits the government from infringing upon a natural God-given right that predated this government. Okay, that's literally what it says, right? The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But it's gotten to the point where I remember Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas said, I'm sick and tired of the Second Amendment being treated as a second-class right. And him saying that is a lot more wisdom than what most of the Supreme Court justices would ever say. But I think, unfortunately, even Clarence Thomas, I don't think he's even completely acknowledging where we're at right now. I would argue, actually, that according to the United States government, and apparently according to most of the people in this country, because I don't really see anybody truly getting bent out of shape. All these people are just saying, hold on, we have to stop the ATF's reclassification of this. We have to vote no on this. We have to tell our governor to vote yes for constitutional carry. Okay, to a point, like I get it, but at the same time, not really, because that's actually, if you think about it, us acknowledging that these have actually become privileges in this country. They do. I'm not trying to say that the Second Amendment doesn't mean what it says. I completely believe it means what it says. Of course it does. Thanks, I Love Hemi, with the super sticker. He says, keep it up. I'll try my best, man. Thank you. Look, we have the right to keep and bear arms. Everybody does. But I guess if we just want to all sit there and choose not to exercise our rights, I mean, you can't truly give up a right, because if a right exists for everybody, you can't actually get rid of your right. But you can certainly, by your own free will, choose to not exercise it, right? And then once you start exercising them as rights and you stop acknowledging them as rights, That's where it starts to come in under this whole privileges thing. So why is it, if the Second Amendment is a right, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and that's supposed to be for the whole United States of America, why would we need our government? This is where constitutional carry comes into play, and where I have mixed feelings on it, guys. And I seriously want your input, because some of you are going to adamantly disagree with me, and you'll just unsubscribe and you'll leave, and that sucks, because we have a really good time here on Fridays. But if someone disagrees, let us know in the chat so we can all talk about it. Constitutional carry, by you actually encouraging your legislators to vote for that, okay, and by your governor signing it into law, didn't you just ask the government to grant you the privilege to carry in certain means, like without a license, without having to pay for your CPL or CHL or whatever you call it in your state? Think about that for a minute. Now, it could be worse. I totally get that. I get that. But they do talk about this concept right here in the Declaration, that it says, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable. So constitutional carry, they'll pass a law saying, hereby, the government declares that you have the constitutional right to carry a firearm without a permit and things like that. Now, they're all worded a little bit differently, but they're all kind of the same. You can kind of tell the same person wrote the constitutional carry law, and the legislators just changed a few lines here and there, and it's kind of all the same thing in essence, right? I also hear about this Second Amendment Preservation Act. Okay. Do we really need that, though? And is that really the best thing that we should have? Because we already have the right to keep and bear arms. That was given to you by your creator, not by the government. Not by your governor, not by your state house, your state senate, certainly not from that sleepy old man and his cabal in Washington, D.C. But you've just begged your state government to say, give me constitutional carry. Give me the right to constitutionally carry. And then they grant you that right. Is that a right at that point? Or is that actually a privilege at that point? When the state legislator writes something into law to allow you to exercise something that you always had the right to do anyways and in the past. And I know what some of you are thinking, but hold on, dude. I'd certainly rather have a constitutional carry bill pass than an assault weapons ban or some like totally restrictive where they're confiscating. Sure, to a point, but at the same time, you're still asking the government to grant you permission to do something. And I would say that's a privilege, okay? Not a right. And it becomes even more of a privilege. Somebody said, thanks for the super sticker, Mateo. I appreciate it, man. And he's reminding everyone to don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It just helps the algorithm just a little bit, just to tick off Susan Wiki, right? Because they don't like channels like this on here anymore. And eventually we won't be on here. But in the meantime, we'll have the best time we can. And there's other ways to help support the channel too. I really appreciate all your super chats. If you'd like to become a channel member, that really helps out. Patreon. And some of you guys just send me stuff in the mail, and that's totally awesome. And hey, for those of you that have no money at all, just use my Amazon link if you're already shopping there. I'm not telling you to shop there, but if you use my link, no matter what you buy, it helps out a little bit, and I put it all right back into the channel. Speaking of channel members, have you guys figured out how to use the 2A EDU emoji that I put in there? I think I saw Chuck R was messing around with it just before the stream. Okay, look. Constitutional carry. On the surface of it, of course, I like the concept because we have privileges, right? Where if you don't have the $130 to buy your CPL, well, now only people that are privileged with money get to exercise the right, using big air quotes when I say that. Think about that. Constitutional carry, okay. It's basically saying we're granting you permission now. And it usually says something like, for the law-abiding citizen, and you'll always see that in these bills. For the law-abiding citizen, you don't need a permit. You don't have to pay money. You don't have to take a class. Okay. I get that. And I saw I Love Hemi left me and said, it's always a privilege for the poor and a right for the rich. And I do know what you mean with that. I do. And it seems like they're looking at it as it's a privilege for all of us. And I'm afraid too many of the American people are also looking at it that way, aren't they? Well, if you want people to be able to carry in your state, which is what we should want, with whatever means necessary, without a license, without a permit, because yeah, you should get training if you want to be more effective. Duh. Somebody's probably smarter than you. Somebody probably knows how to handle a gun better than you. So if you want to be the most apt with that tool, if you want to build a house, but you've never swatted a nail, you should probably study under a carpenter for a while. And hopefully they're a really good carpenter. And if you want to study the tools of the trade with your gun to protect your life, liberty, pursuit of happiness in your family, I encourage you all to get training by somebody who's a lot smarter than you, and they'll probably help you save your life if you ever need to by teaching you things. But you don't need to have that training to be able to keep and bear arms, because as soon as you put any hurdle or any tax on a right, it instantly becomes a privilege, doesn't it? And I would argue these constitutional carry laws are basically telling us that we are now going to grant you via a law more privileges. Yeah, I really believe that's what they're doing. And I don't know why, like, nobody's even hardly talking about this. Some people are. A bunch of us little peon channels that are lucky to have awesome people watching us, but none of these big channels ever talk about that. They just say, write your congressman, encourage them to pass the House Bill 67, which is constitutional carry, and tell them to oppose the ATF. And where's that getting us? Where's that getting us, guys? Seriously, where's it getting us? We always keep saying, just write them harder, and just do this, and just do that, and it'll get better somehow. And then they laugh at us, and then they come back and do more, don't they? And I think it's quite appalling. And that's why when I said, it's okay to be angry, really it is. If somebody's messing with your God-given rights, it is okay to be angry, and you should be, that they just sit there and laugh at you when you talk about your God-given rights that were endowed to you by your creator. And they're like, hold on a minute. You guys hear this? They'll say, I'm the most pro-Second Amendment governor ever. And if you elect me, I will pass this law and this law to grant you the right to keep and bear arms in this state. It's up for you to decide whether they mean well by that or not, but it's kind of disheartening if you really think about it, because now you have a human being. And when you go back to the Federalist Papers, they said if men were angels, we wouldn't need any government at all. But men are not angels, so we are going to need a government. But there's another line to that we need to talk about. And this is where it comes to, this is the government, man. I'm from the government and I'm here to help, right? A lot of things I don't like about Ronald Reagan, but I do agree with him when he said that. The scariest words that you can hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, right? Well, they also said in Federalist 49 that if government were angels, right? If government were made up of angels, we wouldn't need any internal or external restraints on government. But certainly they even knew back before the founding of this country, and obviously we know this today, the government are definitely not angels. And that's why there's supposed to be internal and external constraints on government. So you live in the great state of Iowa, okay? Very fine place, very fine people that live there. I believe you all passed constitutional carry. I don't think that passing constitutional carry is putting any restraints on government, is it? It actually sounds like it's giving the government more power, if you ask me. Because remember, whatever anyone gives you, if somebody gives you something, they can take it away. And that's why I say this sleepy old man in Washington, D.C. right now. Governor Whitmer, they call her. They call her many things. President Donald Trump. Look, these people didn't give you anything, and that's why they can't take it away. It doesn't matter if you like them or not. You might like them. You might not like them. But they didn't give. But we're always begging them to give us something, aren't we? I'm from the government, and if you elect me, I'll help you, and I'll grant you your rights. They'll tell you, won't they? And we're happy because those rights are something that we hold dear, and we really, really like the right to keep and bear arms, don't we? And we're gun people, and, we believe that we need to use our firearms just for fun and recreation and to collect, and those are all very fine things to do. And you have the right to collect. You do. And you have the right to go out and have fun with your friends. Well, you have the right and the duty, and this is where it gets even a little more serious. You have the right. You have the duty to throw off such government. So that's where we always say, well, the Second Amendment was just affirming our right to fight off a tyrannical government, right? Well, why would we ask the government that we might potentially have to fend off when it becomes tyrannical? it already is in almost all cases, right? Why would we ask them for the right and privilege to fend them off? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Here's what I think we should do. You live in the great state of Iowa. Constitutional carry. All right. Your governor. She seems like a very nice lady. I don't know her, okay? I'm sure she's very nice. I'm sure she's also a little bit tyrannical. It doesn't seem like anyone makes it too high in government without having a little bit of tyrant in them. Let's just face it. But whatever. I don't know her. Very fine lady, we'll assume. Signed in constitutional carry. Why aren't people in all of these pro-liberty states instead demanding just get rid of the gun laws we already have? Before gun control, literally, go back and look it up. Before gun control, you had the right to keep and bear arms. You always had that, and you always will. But there was nothing in the law stopping you from freely exercising those rights without getting imprisoned, shackled, fined to the point where you become destitute, all these punishments, right? So why don't we instead just say, okay, you're pro-Second Amendment, which doesn't give you the right. It just prohibits the government from infringing on it. A true pro-Second Amendment state legislature, true pro-Second Amendment, because remember, it's just to constrain government. Government granting you the right, that's not constraining them. That's actually constraining you. Just abolish all the laws. Literally, go through and vote through your state legislature, your House, your Senate, have the governor sign a thing that says, I'm making these numbers up, guys. Let's just say in Iowa, there's 10 gun control laws. Now there's thousands, but just say we hereby repeal H.R. 1, we hereby repeal H.R. 2, H.R. 3. Now they're not going to be called that. They're probably called CR 123, right? Codified regulations. We hereby repeal regulation number 1, law number 2, law number 3, law number 4, law number 5, all the way up to 10. So I hope too many people didn't get mad at me because this is where we're finally getting there, right? I just wanted to set the stage of how I'm thinking about it so we can have like a truly productive thought, because these are things we do need to think about, okay? We do need to think about. And there's certain issues right now that I think about a lot, and I've had other people on YouTube challenge me on, and I'm like, you know what? I don't have the answer right now, but I'm in deep thought about it. And this is something I've been thinking about for a while, this whole concept I'm talking about tonight. It's just I'm not like a particularly smart person. I don't have any power. I'm nobody, right? So it takes me sometimes a while to gather these thoughts and make them like a little bit congruent so you guys can kind of sort of follow where I'm coming from, right? Instead of praising these constitutional carry bills, what would be wrong with, and I'm saying this very sarcastically, what would be wrong with actually just repealing all of the barriers, all of the hurdles to our natural rights that we always had? See, here's the problem right now. We have laws, okay? And we have too many darn laws. And we have so many that you guys hear it's called omnibus bill. And if you hear about an omnibus, it should make you sick. Thanks, JG. No, I really appreciate that, man. He said, I think you're a somebody. Look, we're all nobodies, but we're all somebodies. And I do appreciate that some people, care. And I hope you guys all care about each other. I really do. Hope some of you care about me, and I hope some of you care about each other. I hope all of you do, right? Now, here's the problem. If the government were angels, right? It says clearly, if the government were angels, we would not need any internal or external constraints on said government. But they're not angels. Well, is it a constraint to get them to pass more laws? No, we have too many laws. They sign omnibus bills that are 500 pages long, and they all admit to you. They will, but they won't all admit. But a lot of the politicians, they don't say the truth very often, but they will admit one thing, won't they? This is like the truest thing you've heard a politician say, and they're not lying to you. They say, we just passed the omnibus bill, and we had to vote on it and pass it before we could read it. They're literally passing hundreds and hundreds of laws. Sometimes it's 3,000 laws in one omnibus law, right? And they don't even read it. And somehow we think that we're going to get liberty and we're going to be able to constrain the government and get the heavy jackboot of the bureaucracy and the government off of our neck by having them pass more laws. That just doesn't make any sense. See, here's something else they forget about. The Constitution, that's the rule of law. And there's nothing wrong with having laws. And we should have laws. Nowadays, law just has such a bad word because they've not been constrained. They've not been constrained internally, and they've not been constrained externally. They've gone rogue. They've gone rampant. And sometimes they even admit it to you, don't they? They brag about it to you. And some of them even flaunt. And that's where they laugh at you. And the governor of Michigan, she's so snide. And literally, she says stuff to you. And literally, to believe her requires the listener to be much dumber than the speaker. And she, in my opinion, she's not very intelligent, okay? She's not very intelligent at all. And then she chuckles and she laughs at you. And instead, you know what we do? We write her letters and we say, do not sign this gun control bill. We have the right to keep and bear arms. And I beg you, ma'am, do not sign this. Huh. And then for some of you that are very fortunate, some of you have Ron DeSantis as your governor. And if I had to choose between the two, I'd certainly rather have Ron DeSantis than I would. I'd like to call her what I truly mean. But I like to keep this a family-friendly show. I really do. So we'll just call her Stretching Gretchen, we'll call her. They call her many, many things, guys. Trust me. Especially if you live in Michigan. You know what I mean. They call her Gretchen, right? I'd rather have DeSantis than that, but why do the good people in Florida, and there's many good people from Florida, and I see friends of mine from Florida right now, okay? Why would you beg Governor DeSantis to grant you the right to keep and bear arms through constitutional carry? Why aren't you begging him? Demanding him is what you should be doing, not begging, because when you beg, you're begging for privileges, like little kid. May I please have the privilege of dessert after dinner, mommy, daddy? When you ask for something, that's actually, by definition, a privilege. No, demand to him. Say, look, we have the right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment prohibits the government from infringing. You say you're pro-Second Amendment, Mr. DeSantis. Here's the 36 or 300. I mean, you have to start somewhere, guys. Here's the 36 gun control laws in the state of California. We demand that you repeal today. And then when he does that, you got to do what the left does. When you get a small victory, you don't stop. You speed up. You're like, all right, that's great. You repealed 36 gun control laws. Now we want 136 more. And we're demanding it, by the way. And then say you get that accomplished, then say, all right, we just want all of them gone. Because if you think about the reverse, that's what the left's doing. We want to reclassify this. You can't have a brace. You can't have a bump stock. You can't have this many rounds. And then as soon as they get that, they go to the next. They go to the next. And it gets faster and faster, and then they're gonna someday, and it might not be too long from now. Some of them already say it right now. Just remember, when they say, we want the Australian-style gun control, that's confiscation. Go watch the old footage from the 90s. Hundreds of train cars of guns going into the dump to be melted down. So when they say, we want the Australian gun control, they're telling you we want to pick up every gun you have. Why isn't there a movement on our side that's saying, we want you to repeal every gun control law that there is? And I know there's only so much of us to go around. So if you're focused on the Second Amendment, focus on that. And then I hope there's many patriots focusing on the First Amendment, right? 3rd, 4th, 5th, 9th, 10th. I don't know. Think about it, guys. Why are we not demanding that they repeal? They repeal the prohibitions, the restrictions, the hurdles, the speed bumps. You can call them many things, but no matter what, they're all lumped in as infringements. We would have to at least agree on that, right? An infringement, it just means if they go 1 inch, if they go 1 scintilla into treading on your right, that's what infringement means. So really, all gun control laws are completely unconstitutional. They're completely contrary to nature's God-given rights, laws of nature. They're against natural law. They really are. But instead, we demand these people that we're supposed to be constraining to give us some more rights. I don't know. Maybe some of you guys have a better answer than me. All I'm trying to do tonight is get people to think about it. There's a very good chance, I don't know, maybe one of you guys are the next George Washington or Alexander Hamilton or Ben Franklin. I don't think I am, okay? But I do think we need to think about it a little bit, don't we? Freedom Mink with a super chat. Thanks, man. He said, let's do a live stream sometime. Ideas from multiple places. Opens up minds, especially when backed by facts. I would look forward to that. Been extremely busy the last week. This next week is like even crazier, but I'm going to purposely start scheduling myself a little lighter. So I look forward to it, man. I'll get in touch with you and we'll figure it out. What are you guys doing tonight in here? Hold on a minute. What are you guys up to? Yeah, somebody just said a few minutes ago. I'm trying to find it. I don't want to miss super chats. You don't have to pay money to talk to me, guys, but if you did, I want to make sure that I find it here because I really appreciate it. All right, Ben McConnell, 3311 4th Estate. Thanks for the super chat, man. He says behavior modification. We comply, we get rewarded. Yeah, we do, don't we? Yeah. Look, what does it take? It takes rewarding. You basically, right, you can reward somebody, or you can do kind of the opposite of a reward. You can say, I'll hurt you, but I won't hurt you if you do this, right? That's actually the game they're playing the most. You can just keep repeating yourself, right? Repeating yourself. You can make it where anytime the mouse goes to a certain spot in the cage, it gets a little electrical shock and it zaps it and it hurts it, right? Well, it'll starve to death because the food was like just on the other side of it because it just eventually breaks its will. And I'm not saying any of this to try to break you guys as well, trust me. And I really, really, really don't mean any of this to be negative. It sounds like it. And for all of you that wrote your governor 950 times, urging them to pass constitutional carry, I'm not judging you. I'm not looking down on you. God bless you. I just want us to start thinking about it, though, because I'm just not so sure that asking the person that's supposed to be constrained, right, by we the people, is supposed to have internal and external controls. That's what Federalist Papers said, right? And I do actually believe that. Because none of us are perfect. I don't want you to look. I'm not here trying to shame anyone. Trust me. If you wrote 900 letters saying I want constitutional carry, I'm not calling you part of the problem. I'm not calling you out. I'm really not doing any of that. Because if I judged you, what would I have to say about myself? Like, I'm far, far from perfect. So please don't take any of it as that. I just want us to think about it. I just want us to think about it a little more. I think maybe. And look, we can't just instantly flip this country around. It took 200 look, you could probably say 240 years, couldn't you? Because it was a very short time. After the conception of this experiment on self-governance of the people, by the people, for the people, that we all hold dear. And it's an idea. And it's an idea that we love, and we should love this idea, right? But it took 200 and something years, at the very least, for it to get this bad. We're not going to be able to just instantly flip it around tomorrow. Look, find some peace on that, okay? You're not going to flip it around tomorrow. So don't put yourself up with such high expectations that literally tomorrow you're going to wake up and everything's going to be perfect. The world's never going to be perfect for many reasons. And I don't want to get too religious, but if you are a reader of the Bible, it tells you that this world, look, life is short and full of problems, right? That's what the Bible says. And that's okay. And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. But we have to do a little more than what we've been doing. We can't just keep doing the same old. You know, writing a letter to the ATF saying, I beg you, master, to please grant me the privilege of only having one serialized part on my firearm instead of 2, 3, or 4. Is that what we're doing? Like, really? Like, why does the ATF even exist? The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's supposed to be the law of the land, right? And I believe that is the law of the land. And I believe the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which are mainly prohibitions on government, there's only a small section that grants the federal government some powers, right? And all the rest, that's what the 10th Amendment says, are supposed to be to the states and then to the people. I don't know, guys, and I'm literally asking you this, and I don't mean I'm not trying to ask for a democracy in the chat. This isn't like whatever gets the most votes is what I'm going to do. That's not what I mean by this, but I'm asking you guys for just a little insight and wisdom because I feel I've gotten to know a lot of you guys pretty well just by reading your chats. You know, we've been doing these streams for almost 2 years, okay? I haven't done a video, have I, saying you guys need to get on board and you need to write the ATF right now. I haven't done that video. Now, I've been extremely busy this week. I've been working a lot, and I haven't had time to do as many videos as I'd like. I hope you guys liked the shotgun video. I did decide to put it up. Even though Susan Wiki, she's called. By the way, those of you that like stickers, just stay tuned. I just ordered them. They just shipped, actually. Today, I got a text message. Any of you Susan Wiki fans? I got a cool sticker coming you guys might like. But anyways, I put the shotgun video up. I could have carved out 5 minutes, guys. And literally, I've been so slam busy, I promise. I could have carved out 5 videos saying, please, please, I beg you. And we've seen tons of these channels, and I'm not putting these people down. They're all very fine people, I'm sure, okay? I chose not to do that video, guys. And I'm not sure that I'm ever going to do it. And I'm not looking just for a straight up and down vote. Like if I get 100 votes to do the video, I will. And if I get 99 not to do it, I won't. That's not what I mean. I don't know. Just want, you know, friends and like-minded and really smart people to just throw in, you know, your input on this. Because I feel like if I say, guys, go do that video, this is why I'm kind of inclined not to do the video, actually. I just lost a sub for saying that. I just watched 2 people leave when I said that. I get it, but, and then that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. You'll be back. You'll still like the channel. I get it. But hold on. Guys, I really don't want to do the video begging all of you to write the ATF, because if you do, what are you going to write them? You're going to say, this is unconstitutional, okay, and it is. And then you're going to say, pretty please, ATF, grant me the privilege to be allowed to own a gun with only 1 serial number instead of 6. Or in some cases, you're going to say, please, please, okay? Please let me not serialize my gun that I made. Look, you've always been allowed to make guns yourself. Allowed. Yeah. You know who allowed you to do that? Whoever created you. Okay? And if you believe there's no creator and nothing created you, well, then I guess nothing gave you the right. But you still have the right, even if you believe you weren't created at all, and there is no God, and there's no vibes, and there's no karma, and there's nothing beyond just like stuff you can physically touch. I could care less if that's what you believe. Then that's what gave you the right. Look, if you literally say, nothing at all gave me the right to keep and bear arms, I'm actually fine with that. Just don't say it's the ATF or the federal government, right? I don't know. There's multiple concerns with this. I feel like it's an appeal to authority where you're asking them, like, will you please, sir with a badge and a gun that will come and deprive me of my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. If I don't comply, will you please grant me? Will you please grant me a few morsels? I don't know. I'm sick and tired of asking people permission who have no right whatsoever. Because you want to know what's interesting? We have God-given rights, not privileges. But privileges do exist. You know who has privileges, actually? The government has privileges. They do, actually. Look in the Constitution where it talks about privileges and immunities. I'm not a constitutional scholar, guys. It's in there. Look up the privileges and immunities clause section. The government are the ones that have privileges. You know what the privilege the government has? The government is privileged to protect the people's rights so long as the people consent to giving that privilege to the government. So I don't want for 1 minute to mince my words here. I am not saying, okay? I'm not saying, look, the government does not have rights, in my opinion. I don't see anywhere that grants the government rights. I believe the government is privileged and should be honored. And anybody that does public service and is a public servant and works for the government, serves in the government, I believe that they're privileged to be able to do that. They're lucky to be able to stand up for people's natural rights. That's my opinion. So there you guys go. I already see some people don't agree. I don't like it in the chat. Just to be honest, guys, I don't like it in the chat when someone says you are wrong, because that's kind of a little dictatorial, and you kind of come off as a tyrant when you say that. If somebody wants to disagree with me all day, they can. But just to simply say you're wrong, I don't know. Not a very nice thing to say to me, but that's all right. I never said all of you guys were nice, did I? Alden Davis, what's happening, man? I don't ask for anything. I own what I own and support the folks I believe in. Yeah, look, I believe in rule of law. I do believe that police, a whole other topic. I'm not even going to talk about police tonight, but I believe people can take care of themselves, you know, for the most part. You know, literally. We need to have law and order, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, things like that. These are, in my opinion, maybe not perfect, but compared to what we have right now, pretty darn close to it, right? There's all these restrictions on you where you can't freely exercise your rights without fearing reprisal from the government. And if you're afraid to exercise your rights, that's when people fall in this trap where they're like, will you please Will you please protect me, government? You don't allow me to carry the firearm that's most comfortable for me to shoot. So now I need to have you protect me more. Think about it. I don't know. What are you guys saying? I'm gonna read it later. Are you guys really, on the bandwagon that you definitely want as many people to write the ATF as possible? I don't know. I'm not going to condemn you if that's what you want. Okay? I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to be mean to you, but I don't know. I just don't know. Because here's another problem with it. And they've done this for a while, okay? They didn't used to do it. Me and Mateo were talking about this just the other night. It seemed like right around the time that was the bump stock public comment. There's so many of them, it's hard to even remember now. There was one for braces. But I swear, like, when it was M855 ammo a few years ago. See, when you wrote into the ATF then, you could do it anonymously and privately. Now, they force you to dox yourself. They do. And there's already groups, organizations that are promising they're going to go through. And they're going to find all the people that oppose the ATF. And they're going to have your name. They're going to have your full, they're going to have your full address, presumably everything about you, right? It's all going to be wide open on the internet. And then they're already promising that they're going to make lists of people. And some of these lists is where they're going to call you a domestic terrorist. They're going to call you fringe. All these scare tactics words they use. That's another reality of writing the ATF. Now, people will say, don't be afraid to be on the list. You're already on the government's list. And I get that a part of the argument. Look, if you've ever bought a firearm from any type of gun shop whatsoever, you're on the list, okay? So really, that's a concern. I just wanted to bring it up. You're going to get doxxed. You will get doxxed if you oppose what the ATF's doing. But to be fair, there's arguments back and forth. Look, the ultimate list was this Declaration of Independence. The men who signed their names to the list, they were putting themselves on a list. So I don't know. You should think about whether you want to be doxxed or not. But at the same time, with the list, I could go back and forth. The real reason why I'm a little bit loath to rate the ATF on this one and like ask people to do it. I'm not telling you not to. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not a dictator. I hate these types of things. Do what you want to do, of course. But I don't know that I feel like asking the ATF to allow me to have certain objects. I mean, they're literally saying if it looks like a firearm, it's going to need serialized. What are they even talking about? Are you literally begging them that, please, Mr. ATF, man, if I accidentally am not paying attention and I'm eating my French toast, okay, in a certain way, and it resembles a certain shape, please don't make me serialize that. I mean, I don't know. Read these proposed rule regulations. If it looks like a firearm, they said, if it looks like one, they want you to serialize it. Now, I don't know. Because here's the thing. If I see someone in the street and they're just so darn stupid, so darn ridiculous that they want to demand something that retarded of me, I don't give them the time of day to have like a thorough conversation. I'm like, look, you're not even worth my time because you're just being so abhorrent and you're just being so counterproductive. Like, it's fine to argue with the other side to a point, but at a certain point, you just got to look out for yourself and move on because some of these people aren't capable of having conversations. What do you guys think about the ATF with their current proposed rulemaking, the promulgation of rules and regulations pursuant to the APA, with, of course, Chevron deference always right at the tip of their tongue? And, of course, then they'll cite Perez BV mortgage bankers. Oh, yeah. And they'll say all of that, but they're still preserving your Second Amendment rights, they'll tell you, right? Are these people even capable of having a conversation with? I don't know. That's something you guys will all have to decide for yourselves. I'm not going to tell you who to talk to or who not to talk to. Maybe, I'm going to emphasize the word maybe. Maybe it's the smartest thing in the world to do, to beg and plead of them to please throw me a bone and don't make me serialize my piece of French toast if my kid eats it in the shape of something. I don't know. But at the same time, I'm not inclined to think that's really what I want to do right now. I don't really feel like asking them to help me out. Like hook me up, bro. No, they're not my bro. They're not my bud. They're not my pal. And they're not my friend. And I don't really, they never told you they were their friend. Why would people think that they are? I don't know. Maybe some people just need more friends and want to be friends with an ATF agent. I have no idea. You guys don't need to do that. You guys are all friends with each other here in the chat. But I'm sure there's somebody out there somewhere that's like, hey, even if it's the ATF agent, everyone's got to have a friend somewhere. They couldn't afford to feed their dog, which is man's best friend. So instead I don't know, they bought a little bit of dog food for an ATF agent. They don't need to eat as much as a house pet, in my opinion. But hey, I guess that's for you to decide too. Max Shot 62 with another super chat. Thanks a lot, man. After you get done with all the serial numbers, they want everything with home builds. The firearm won't need any checkering. I know. There you go. Max Shot's looking at the price side of things. Okay, so you start off, guys. You've got your Glock Gen 2. I like a Glock Gen 2, to be honest with you guys. A lot of guys, though, said that wasn't enough texture. So, hey, after all the ATF stuff's done, I guess the one silver lining, you guys can maybe take solace in this. I hope you don't. But hey, you won't have to pay for a stippling job ever again. There's 3,600 serial numbers spaced so closely together. It's the preferred grip. The preferred grip of all USPSA and IPSC shooters, right? The 3,600 serial number. Grip checkering and stippling. I don't know. Hey, I guess I'm excited about it after all. I just flipped in 2 seconds, guys. I went from, I'm going to write the ATF. I'm going to completely oppose this SOB. And then I said, hold on. I don't want to ask these jackboots for permission because then I'm acknowledging they have authority that they don't constitutionally have. Now I completely support it. I'll never have to pay for a stippling job again. I'm just going to get 3,600 serial numbers. That gun's going to ride in my hand. I'll probably actually be a professional shooter. And I'll be so rich. These privileges will become rights because I'll be able to buy all of them. In fact, why am I even still here in this stream? Okay. I'll wake up, guys. Some of you that are new are like, what's this guy talking about? I don't know. Maybe you don't get my sense of humor. So many serial numbers, right? Oh, geez. 2AEDU. He started breaking all the world record shooting because he begged for permission and put 3,600 serial numbers. His gun just fit so perfect. Jerry Michalek had to retire. Right, A-Dubs? What's happening, man? ATF requirements versus Ruger lawyers. Who demands more writing on firearms? Oh, my gosh. Dude, you just asked me like a chicken or the egg. How can I answer this? All of Ruger's lawyers versus the ATF. Who? Man. Read owner's manual before use. Gun can fire when loaded. Always point in a safe direction. Read the Bill of Rights, the 10 Commandments, the 4 rules of gun safety. Oh, we're politically correct now. 7 rules of gun safety. Did I say 7? 77 rules of gun safety. And if you buy it now, 177 rules of gun safety. Read directions. Equal opportunity employer. Yeah, I know. What's more of that? Or thanks for racking my brain, A-Dubs. Thanks for racking my brain, man. What's happening, Pillbox Bunker? How you doing, man? You're just blowing in the wing at Susan. Is Susan Wiki in here still? I told you guys she likes the channel. She does like the channel, by the way. She says she doesn't. Look, she's a jackboot, but she still likes it. Even jackboots still do like it. Robert Madsen, it was put into the Bill of Rights. That makes it a right. Yeah, not granted to us, though, in the Bill of Rights. It says the right shall not be infringed. Yeah. This natural right to keep and bear arms was acknowledged from the very founding of this country. 1776. Okay, that's where we talk about this beautiful document right here. This is crazy. I was talking to a younger person the other day. I was talking July 4th. 1776. And you know what they told me? This is actually serious. They said, oh, what a coincidence. July 4th, 1776. That just happens to be the 4th of July. And I said, hold on a minute. This doesn't happen to be on the 4th of July. The 4th of July happens to be because of this. And they're like, excuse me? No. They're like, you don't understand. The 4th of July holiday where we barbecue and we drink beer and we whatever. I'm like, yeah, what a cute coincidence. They just happened to write this on that holiday. I'm like, it is a holiday because It's July 4th, 1776. Ugh. I hope that makes you guys laugh. I mean, you can cry if you want, but oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But they were dead serious. They were dead serious. And then they reiterated to me they had already been accepted to college on scholarship, honor student in the high school, honor student, full ride scholarship. And they couldn't believe the coincidence that this declaration just happened to have been written on the 4th of July. Maybe I'm the dumb one. I just don't understand. Then, of course, 1791 is when Robert Madsen, that's when they put it in writing, didn't they? The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. That's what it says, right? I don't know. You know that saying, don't tread on me? You know, a lot of you guys, you call it the Gadsden flag. It's usually the yellow flag with the snake. It says, don't tread on me. I like to look at that as kind of an analogy of what the Bill of Rights is. The Bill of Rights is like, we have this right. Government, don't tread on me. We have this right. Don't tread on me. That's basically what it says. It was the founding fathers putting it in writing saying, government, you can't tread on this. It's out of your league. Some people think they do. Some people think they don't. I don't think the government has the right to decide what rights are. I know it's kind of a play on words, but they don't have the right to decide what your right is. But they do have a duty. They have the mandate. They have the mandate by the founding of this government that they're supposed to be there to protect our rights. And there is a big difference. And some people are going to say, well, it's just semantics. And I understand that because I used to say that for a long time. Look, it's just semantics. Whether you want to call it a God-given right or a Second Amendment right, it means the same thing. And I understand if one of you guys are saying that right now. I really do because I said it a lot myself. I did. But there's a key difference, and it ties in with this whole constitutional carry and everything I've been talking about. Look, if the government, quote, gave you a right, well, then that same government could take it away. But the government can't take these away because they didn't give them to you. You always had them. You still do, and you always will. I guess you can choose whether you want to exercise them or not. And you have the right to choose not to have the free exercise of your rights, I guess. But you're not allowed to choose for other people, are you? You're not allowed to choose whether I can exercise mine or not. No, absolutely not. Reptile Guys with a super chat and a channel member. Thanks a lot, man. He said, not taking a class and I'm not paying for any permit. You're not going to keep me from carrying. Everybody's got to do themselves. I will not comply. And look, that's all I can suggest. You guys are all really smart people. You have choices to make. You always do. When you wake up, you have very basic choices. Do I choose to walk in the bathroom and pee or do I pee down my leg? I mean, you don't think of it that way, but technically, that's your first choice in the morning. Now, some of you young bucks might not have to wake up and go pee. But guess what? I'm over 40 now. I've got to pee when I wake up, and I choose to go to the toilet, and then I make all these other choices. You guys are going to have to choose what you do with the ATF proposed rule regulations. You'll have to choose how you fight it. You'll have to choose if you will fight it. And then if it goes through, when it goes through, however you look at it, you'll have to choose which part of it. You're just going to have a lot of choices to make. And I am on YouTube right now. And in my opinion, this is a restricted platform. So there's things I would like to say, but I probably shouldn't. It's not that I'm being milquetoast. I'm just being a realist. You just can't really have full conversations. You want to on YouTube. But I still appreciate the fact that we're all here together, though, right? I'm not necessarily appreciative of Susan Wiki and such, but this is where people are. You know what I'm saying? This is where people are, and hey, everyone has to make their stand, pick their hill to die on, but you can go out in a blaze of glory in 5 minutes and burn up a channel that you've worked hard on for years. And if someone wants to do that, they can, you know. I don't know. Let's see here. The men of Tupperware, the founding fathers, were all homeschooled. Why they were all so smart? Could be, man. Could be. I know. I thought some of them, maybe they were homeschooled originally. I know some of them did go to some of the astute, universities at certain points, right? I know Ben Franklin studied abroad, he said, and he did other things abroad too. family-friendly channel, but he indulged. He liked the ladies. Was a ladies' man. In fact, in France, he was so popular, they made these, they kind of look like a coin, but they were made out of like a clay or pottery, medallions of Ben Franklin. He was quite the superhero over there. They really liked him. I'm not joking. Look it up. France. He went over there to negotiate, when the Brits were going to come back again, and he kind of negotiated some some allegiances, whatever you want to call it, allyship. What's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, he helped us become allies with the French and things like that. But he also partook in a lot of other things when he was over there. He was studying abroad, is what he said. I don't know how he had time to study, but hey. John Williams, what's happening, man? The government is just people like me and you. No better, no worse. I think I know where you're coming from with that, John. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. If I'm wrong, just type in there wrong, and everyone will see that I'm not trying to mix. I think what you mean is, look, the government's supposed to be created amongst men. So if you look at it that way, they're just people. So yeah, I'm not going to hate. Look, I can say, I think the police have become a corrupt institution, but I'm not going to say hey, this police officer here, I hate them as a person. I don't say that. And that's not how I feel. Okay. I'm not censoring myself. I don't believe that. Every single one should just perish. No. There's very fine people that do all kinds of things. And some of them know what they're doing. Some of them don't care. Some of them are doing the right thing. Look, it's not simple. Whenever you get the people, 330 million people, you can't just make one sweeping characterization and sum all of them up. So I think that's what you mean, right? If you look at it that they're actually human beings, look, I'm not going to judge them. They'll be judged by their creator. But when you say the government, okay, yeah, that's pretty corrupt and it's pretty tyrannical, and it doesn't look, it's supposed to be at the consent of the governed, right, John? I think I know you're heading with that. I really just don't even have time to even think about every single person, and none of us do. But as a whole, it's the whole thing where it's I always used to say this, and this is another conversation I had that I'll share just a minute of with you guys. I was talking to my friend Mateo on the phone again the other night. I talked to him a lot. I think he's a smart guy, and I appreciate his friendship. And we were talking. I'm like, man, what am I even doing right now? Because I always said for years, I hate the government, but I love my country. And I'm like, well, what is the country? Because people have gotten to the point now where I'm going to blame a lot of the people for this. We can't just literally say this sleepy old man, this former vice president, okay? We can't say that he's actually the one single-handedly causing our problems, because he's not. Because one sleepy, feeble, look, he doesn't even know where he's at, guys. Literally, do you remember that? He's up on the stage. This is my wife. This is my daughter. Oh, they switched. This is my wife. This is my daughter. Oh, whoa. I mean, you really think that guy could deprive you of your life, liberty, in pursuit of happiness single-handedly? Of course he couldn't. He wouldn't even have a chance, not even against one of us, let alone all of us. No, the people are to blame for a lot of this. So I'm talking to Mateo, and I'm like, man, I don't hate all people. I like a lot of people, but we got to blame we the people. I don't mean we're going to blame John Williams. I don't mean we're going to blame Davey85, Lynn Holt, Bill Alexander, Guero M. I'm just naming names because these are very fine people I see in here, okay? I'm not blaming all of you individually, but the collective, we the people, are probably the most to blame, because for years and years and years, I can't even believe it, when they put the first gun control law in, that we the people of that era just said, oh, that's fine. That's fine. Shall not be infringed now means something different. Oh, okay. I can't believe they did it back then. And it's kind of disgusting that they allowed that to happen, and that people are still allowing these usurpations to happen all the time right now. So I'm like, well, what is it, man? Okay, so I don't trust my government. I don't like my government, but I love my country. I'm like, well, I'm kind of sick of we the people too. You guys know where I'm heading with this? I feel a lot of you feel the same way, okay? You do. And it's not that I hate each of them individually, just the collective, we the people. They're the ones that hold most of the responsibility for this, if you ask me. I'm like, so I don't know, man. Do I just not like America at all? And he kind of pauses, and I'm like, well, no. I'm like, look, there's still something I like about this. What is it that I even like? I'm sick of we the people. I'm certainly sick of the government. He goes, dude, you like the idea. And I actually agree with him. Now, this might not be the case for you guys, but I am still clinging to an idea. And I don't mean a fictional idea, an idea that appeared to work at first, an idea that was eloquently written by the founding fathers. And I guess if you don't have hope, you have nothing at all. Now, some people would make fun of me and say I'm ignorant, but I guess I'm clinging to an idea is what it really, really comes down to. And I'm wondering if there's enough other people out there still that still believe in this idea, this beautiful idea, an experiment, because you can never predict the future unless you're God, and men aren't angels and we're not gods, right? An experiment, an idea. Is there enough people who still have the urge to form another experiment, to have an idea where they just want like simple things? First and foremost, really what we want is just to be left alone, don't we? Now that sounds so simple. Like, what do you mean you just want to be left alone? Being left alone and not having somebody constantly pestering you, constantly trying to scare you. And I do believe people are all trying to scare you, and it's not right. And it's not a nice thing to do, and you shouldn't always have to be scared of your government. Because when the people fear the government, there's tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there's liberty. We just want to be left alone. We just want to be able to freely, without, fear of reprisal. We just want to exercise our God-given rights. Laws of nature, nature's gods. We're not talking Christians. We're not talking Catholics, Protestants right now, guys. We're just talking like the core fundamentals, just the simplest things. That's a beautiful idea. And I think it's one that should give us a lot of encouragement that we should think about often. Because I guess if you get rid of the idea, then I guess you just wouldn't have any guidance at all, and you'd have nothing to strive for. But I still think there's a chance. I don't know how good of a chance it is, guys. I'm not smart enough to do the math. And I'd probably be wrong if I did try to assign a number to it. But I think there's a chance that there's still people out there that just want to be left alone, just want to enjoy their family. They just want to hang out with their friends. They want to be able to take gifts from their creator. Their creator gave them the gift. You're breathing air. You're still alive, right? In other words. And some people look at that as a curse. Some people are very appreciative of every breath they take. I'm just speaking for myself right now. But I truly believe every breath that I take is a gift from God. And I appreciate that. I just want to be able to enjoy it. And sometimes it's nice just to sit outside and look at flowers. And I don't know about you guys. Look, I'm a landscaper. I'm not like that tough or nothing, but I'm a particularly strong guy. I do manual labor, and I'm into manly stuff. I like guns. I like working on cars. But you know what I also really do? And you guys can call me a sissy if you want, but I don't care. I literally like to just sit there and look at pretty flowers. And I like to just sit there and watch little critters walking around. And even some of the bugs are kind of pretty, actually. Like, I really like to do that. But then as soon as you start to enjoy that, instantly you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to serialize my polymer 80? Am I going to be driving back home in this rat race because I have to work 3 times more than I should have to because of theft? Look, taxes are theft. It's confiscation of wealth redistributed by somebody, given to people that you don't necessarily consent to. So I'm working too many hours, have to try to pay for all this stuff that I don't need. And I have to sit there and work extra hours to pay my taxes and all these things like that. I'd like to just sit and look at flowers a little bit longer, to be honest with you, or like the birds, or like, I saw a turtle the other day and I thought that was pretty cool, right? And I see lots of beautiful people that I'd like to have more time to get to know and talk to. And I'm lucky to know a lot of beautiful people here. But no, that's not enough. We can't just have that. No, I have to worry about how am I carrying my firearm as I go down the road? Well, I have to sit there and destroy property that I killed myself to make the money for it to buy. Am I going to have to register it and put it on a registration? Am I going to have to put it under this and that? Am I going to have to serialize? Like, it's ridiculous to even have to think about worrying things like this. Notice what I said, guys. I didn't say that I want to be running around as a bad mamma jamma toting gun guy, and I want to be out there with my guns ablazing. No, I want my right to keep and bear arms, and I cherish that right so that I can protect my country against a tyrannical government. I want to protect my family. I want to protect myself and anyone else that happens to be nearby that I feel the need that I need to protect, right? And what am I trying to protect? Well, I'm trying to protect this idea that I mentioned. I'm trying to protect some of the simplest things and some of the most beautiful things. And I don't think people get it. Look, we're not violent people inherently. Some people are, of course. I get it. But no, look. The government's all worried about us. They don't need to be worried about people like me. They probably don't need to be worried about 99% of you. Just leave us the heck alone. We just want to be out there doing our thing, right? Some of you like to ride dirt bikes, okay? Some of you like to swim. There's all sorts of things you guys like to do for fun. Just leave us the heck alone. We're never going to turn on you unless you're going to do something to put us under absolute despotism. And then it would be our right and our duty. So what do they have planned for us? What do these despots have planned for us that would be so bad that they would think that somebody is that literally would rather look at flowers, okay, than to even acknowledge these people exist? What do they have planned for us that we would even think about taking up arms? I wonder. And it is something you should wonder about too, because they obviously have something planned. Look, they want to serialize everything, which means they want to register it. Registration has always and no doubt will again. Hopefully not here, but if we allow this to happen, it's going to lead to confiscation, isn't it? They talk about, well, you can put this on the National Firearms Registry and that. The National Firearms Act? You want to talk about privileges? That made it where people were agreeing to transfer their right to keep and bear arms. I'm using big air quotes. You can't transfer your rights. They're your rights. You have them whether you want to exercise them or not. So one more time, big air quotes. That was to try to get the people to think that they're transferring their rights over to the government. A tax? Look, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. You can't give it away whether you want it or not. But they want to give you illusion that you can have this extra scary arm, but you have to pay us a $200 tax. Could you imagine if they said that to vote you had to pay a $200 tax? People would literally set themselves on fire. People would actually get out on the street and go berserk over that, wouldn't they? I truly believe they would. National Firearms Act, that instantly by definition becomes a privilege because now you're filling out paperwork that the government has to approve. So you're asking permission right then and there. Then you're paying them $200. Okay, that's a tax on a God-given natural right, okay? And then it puts you on a registry list, which maybe not right now, but it has always historically been in other societies that had privileges and things like this. It's always led to confiscation in the past. Now, I've heard, as much as we love Heller, you know the Heller case? DC versus Heller, it's called. It's touted as a win, and it is in many regards, but Heller actually, literally, in the majority opinion, written by the late Antonin Scalia, he said, well, certainly the Second Amendment doesn't protect, like, potential, dangerous guns. He said, point blank, it doesn't protect machine guns, didn't he? I'm not completely word for word, but look it up. That's the gist of it. Heller literally said that the Second Amendment doesn't protect particularly unusual weapons. In fact, it established this common use. You have the right to keep and bear arms as long as it's common use, is what the majority opinion in Heller said. Now, look, the minority, look, if they would have, the dissent, they call it, the side that lost the vote, they said it wasn't an individual right at all, and you had to be in the militia, meaning the National Guard, etc. So they wanted to screw you even worse. But even Scalia and Heller basically took a whole section of firearms and said those are for the privileged. It's literally what he said if you read his majority opinion. Well, there you go. And then you hear them all nonchalantly saying, oh, well, don't worry about it. The arm brace, you can get a free tax stamp and just put it on the NFA. When you put it on the NFA, you're literally, by Supreme Court precedents and all these things, you're just agreeing, saying, yep, this is a privilege. It's not a right. I agree with Scalia when he said that these particularly dangerous items, isn't that what Scalia said? These things that are not in common use. And then they'll also bring up sporting purposes. If it doesn't have a sporting purpose, now that becomes a privilege too, doesn't it? Not a right. Look, the only way something can be a right is if everybody has it. As soon as you start saying the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, but then they say what that really means, according to them, according to this Supreme Court case, this other law, and then the APA, and then a rule promulgated, public comment, whatever, Chevron deference, Perez v. mortgage bankers. You add it all together, and really at the end of the day, they're like, all right, the right to keep and bear arms now becomes a privilege that you have these very select few that you can do with certain strings attached with these, more strings attached with the others, and it just depends what this judge says on this day and what this panel says. Well, then now we have to see what the en banc panel says. It's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Like, you literally, like, just laugh if you want to when you hear all this. It's like, really? Really? That's where we're at right now? Whoa, like, I don't know. How many serial numbers do they want on a gun? Well, hold on. 3,600 serial numbers. Then someone will come the very next day, because they always do, and say, that's not enough. That's not enough. There's too many guns on the streets. Now we need 3,601 serial numbers on a gun. And then someone will say, well, at least they're not taking my gun. Let me go to the gunsmith. Let me pay the $10 or $50 or whatever. Some people would probably pay $1,000 just so they could have that 3,601st serial number to their gun. But they would still say that they have the right to keep and bear arms and the government shall not infringe, while they just got their 3,601st serial number. I'm not making fun of that person or attacking anyone. This is just a fictitious person I'm thinking of here, but it just doesn't make much sense to me. It's kind of sad that a lot of people will probably do that. But I encourage all of you to think for yourselves, and I always say that, and I truly mean it. Marco Polo with a super chat. Thanks a lot, man. He says, good session tonight. Thank you again. Well, thank you. Protect family always. Looking forward to May 19th. My rights, my say. I can't say much, guys. I can't say much, but a lot of you guys, I'll just leave it at this. A lot of you guys advocated on my behalf, and I guess I've got some friends in high places. I'll just leave it at that. Stay tuned. May 19th. I'm going to have a video that I think you guys will be pretty darn excited about. And I'd like to say more, but I actually technically can't. But I will promise you, I'm like so excited right now. It's all I can do to not get myself in big trouble. So you'll be very excited. I don't know. I might just go for the gusto and 12:01 a.m. May 19th. Some of you guys have been talking about rumors. All I can say is this. I have no idea about any of the rumors people are talking about, but I have a video of something I'm super, super excited about. Gray Man with the super chat and a channel member. Thanks, man. He says, we are many. We just don't have the voice. The antis have via MSM, mainstream media. Keep up the faith. I know. The antis, whatever they are, the people that are anti-rights, they don't want to have rights. They don't want you to have rights. Look, they're clueless, but they are the ones that they yell the loudest, and they're the most active, aren't they? Yeah, they really are. And that's kind of the problem. That's why I tried to emphasize at the very beginning of this stream, we're not a democracy. We should reject being a democracy, because that's what happens. Mob rule. And a lot of the stuff that's completely ridiculous that we can't even believe that we're even talking about right now. That's because the democracy has been thriving a lot more than it's supposed to. Look, the United States of America, we're a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy, but that doesn't mean we haven't taken on a lot of mob rule democratic tendencies, because I believe we have, and that's why the situation we're in right now. Can't even believe we're talking about it, guys. Serializing parts, serializing something that looks like something that looks like a firearm. Looks like it. There's a guy that made a drawing on a piece of metal that's in trouble right now. I mean, it's it's kind of crazy, guys. Am I going to run for office? Harry Grimley asked me. Maybe he was asking me. Maybe he was asking John Crump. What's happening, John Crump Live? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. I don't know. Was he asking me or John Crump? John Crump's going to run for office. I don't have the money to run for office. Look, guys, the Second Amendment's a real thing, okay? Old Coasty, one of the few channels that honors its name. to a education. The Second Amendment's a real thing. Don't think for 1 minute, right? And you just reminded me of this, old Coasty. I'm not arguing with you. Thank you, old Coasty. Thanks, man. And the stickers, by the way, they're literally on their way. I think you already have my old ones. I'm waiting for the new stickers to come in. Anyways, but I appreciate it, man. Some people send me nice stuff in the mail. Thank you, old Coasty. Look, guys, the Second Amendment, it totally exists, and it's totally awesome, and I'm a huge supporter of the Second Amendment. I just want to always make the distinguishment that it's not our Second Amendment rights. The Second Amendment didn't give them to us, okay? These are of nature's God, of laws of nature, okay? That's where we get our rights. But the Second Amendment, heck yeah, I'm a huge supporter of it. It says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So the Second Amendment, it's 100% real thing. I support the Second Amendment. Awesome. I just want us to be careful to stop quite saying our Second Amendment rights so much. Look, I was watching one of John Crump's videos, okay? And I remember him saying something similar. If I misquote you, John, then I'm sorry. But it was something like this. You know, he was talking about, he's like, our Second Amendment rights. And then he immediately right after said, our rights given to us by God, by our Creator. And I'd like to see more people in the public sphere, whether you guys have got a reach and you've got a channel. I'd like you to take the time to just throw that in there real quick. You know, just real quick. Just remind people, like, because I get it. Status quo is this. Second Amendment rights. Second Amendment rights. Second Amendment rights. I'm not judging people for that, okay? You want to call it that? A lot of people just call something because just what they've always heard. And I'm probably still wrong on 1,000 things. I'm doing it just like I always have, right? I get it. But it's just a small little thing that we can all start doing just in our normal vernacular, just normal discourse, public discourse, private discourse amongst friends. Just start saying things like our natural right as protected by the Second Amendment. You can say God-given right. You can say of laws of nature, all these things. I just think it's important for you guys to be encouraged, to encourage all the people in your little sphere of influence, whatever that is, small like mine. Maybe some of you guys have a big one, right? I don't know. I think it's important because once people realize that they have these rights, no matter what, it's just up for the people to restrain the government from treading on them. It's actually a very liberating feeling. And this might sound like a depressing topic, but I'm not depressed at all. It's exciting to remind myself every day, okay, I'm still alive, which means I'm still endowed by my Creator, certain unalienable rights. That amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you have those, that's all you're ever going to need, really. And then we can go to work, reminding ourselves that governments are instituted amongst men, and that they're only allowed to exist at the consent of the governed. But once we have the positive encouragement of just remembering that, look, they could abolish the Second Amendment tomorrow. And eventually they will abolish the Second Amendment. I don't mean that to be negative. I'm just calling a spade a spade. One day we probably won't have a Second Amendment in this country. I hope all of our children get to grow up with it still being written down. I do. I hope it's not tomorrow, but someday it will be gone. But that's where we need to keep reminding people, you'll still have the right to keep and bear arms. It's just the government's going to no longer protect that right. I argue they're not protecting it all right now. But once you realize that it's your right that you have it, the government didn't give it to you. They're supposed to protect the right. But when they're not, you have a couple choices. You can just choose not to exercise it, or you can protect it yourself. Someone has to protect it, right? That's why we have a shepherd. If there's not a shepherd protecting the sheep, the wolves come in and eat them. Well, what if the government's supposed to be the shepherd protecting our God-given rights, but then they become the wolf? Is that a hypothetical question I'm asking, or is that something that's in reality right now? I don't know. You guys will decide that for yourself, but I have a feeling what some of your answers are probably are. Is the government the shepherd, protecting all of our rights, or is it the wolf? You don't have to answer it in here. You can just think about it, though. Actually, everything I've said tonight, I haven't really given you answers to anything. We should be thinking about these things. That's the one thing I am sure of. The Reptile Guys with a super chat. Thanks a lot, man. And a channel member. Thanks, dude. He says, I'm excited to say here in Southern Oregon today, I walked into a convenience store and the cashier wasn't wearing a mask, and I'm starting to see a change. Right on, dude. Same thing. Do we have the right to breathe fresh air? Somebody asked me. Of course we do. When did we get it? What amendment gave us that right? No, we always had that right to breathe fresh air. We always had it. You know, we talk about the Ninth Amendment. You need to remind people the Ninth Amendment, because so many of your friends are like, well, where does it say that I have the right to do this? Look, if it's not enumerated, don't think that's the only rights that you have. The Ninth Amendment even wrote it down for you. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So for those that like it in writing, and I get it, some people are visual people, it tells you right there. Just because it's not written down, don't think for 1 minute that that's going to deny or disparage all the other rights you have. And what's interesting is there's like, 10 rights-ish in the Bill of Rights, okay? There's probably like billions of them besides that. So when they say don't construe it to deny or disparage, there's a lot more that aren't written down than are. And that's also a beautiful thing. And that's something that should also encourage all of you. I mean, really, at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want as long as you're not treading on someone else's life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and there are many other rights. You probably have the right to do it, if you ask me. Mike McClune with the super chat. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. And he's got that tactical hippo going victory. No, I mean, he's doing the peace sign. I want peace, guys. But as they say, if you want peace, you have to prepare for war. Remember the Tree of Liberty letter? I read it a couple weeks ago from Thomas Jefferson. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. They were just drafting the Constitution, and he said 12 years have passed, and we haven't had another uprising? Like, he couldn't even believe it. He had already seen them starting. Before the Constitution was even finalized, it was still in its draft state, right? He was already like, whoa, I can't believe the people haven't taken this back. They better hurry up while they still can. That's what Thomas Jefferson said. Just saying. Jacobus Prinsloo from South Africa. What's happening, dude? Thanks for the super chat. He gave me the cool little like round green looking guy with the thumbs up. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, dude. Look, there's people all over the world. And you want to know something? South Africa obviously doesn't have the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. Literally, it doesn't, right, Jacobus? You do not have the Second Amendment to the United States. Of course he doesn't. He lives in South Africa, but Jacobus Prinsloo has the right to keep and bear arms, the same as all of us, because this right isn't constrained by borders. It isn't constrained by boundaries. Everybody has it. It's just certain governments have put up hurdles. They've constrained. They've made people too scared to exercise. In some cases, they've shackled and done many other things, fined, taken away people's money. But I truly believe, I do, that Jacobus Prinsloo has just as much of the right to keep and bear arms as I do. The country that he lives in doesn't say, shall not be infringed. There's a difference in the one regard, but there's no difference at all when it becomes to the actual absolute right. John Crump Live, thanks for the super chat, man. See, I misquoted you a little bit, but it was still the gist. He says, I say our constitutional and God-given rights. Constitutional right equals free from government harassment for exercising our God-given right to bear arms. I like the way you word that, and there is a difference. And of course, obviously, I would add on to that, not disagreeing with them, just adding on, and they're supposed to also defend our right. Really, all we want is just them to leave us alone, right, Crump? We'll defend it ourselves. Just leave us alone. Don't harass us for exercising our rights. We'll defend it on our own. You get rid of all the infringements and usurpations, we'll be just fine. We'll be able to use whatever arms that we see fit. And when we say arms, it's like, well, we talk about guns the most, but it's not just guns. It's literally knives, all kinds of things. I don't know, catapult? If that's your thing and that's what you fight the most effective with, why not? I don't know. The right to keep and bear arms. It doesn't say shall not be infringed unless you're this, unless you're that, unless you have the money for a permit, then you can, then you can't. It doesn't say any of that. And I think the founding fathers were smart enough, if they wanted to write down the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, except this, except that, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. They could have done that if they wanted to. Of course they could have done that if they wanted to. They didn't do it because that's not what this country was founded on. And like I said a little bit earlier, it's an idea, and it was an idea back then. And just 12 years later, right? 12 years later, 1788, when they were finally getting the final draft copies of the Constitution together, Thomas Jefferson was already worried about that idea. And I'm worried about that idea today, but I still cling to that idea, and I still believe it's a good idea. And I believe it's still good to draw inspiration from, and it's still good to think about. And I guess that's why I come on here, and I guess that's why I talk to you guys, just hoping I'm not the only one. Like, if you literally just sit there by yourself and you just watch mainstream media, they'll have you convinced that you're the only one, that you're nuts, you're the oddball. Look, to literally look at the words on these pieces of, I guess, computer paper here, but parchment paper. These are beautiful things, and if you believe this is beautiful, and you believe that there's a lot of beautiful things in this world that God gave you the right to enjoy and to cherish, that's not abnormal. There's nothing wrong with you. And anyone that tells you something's wrong with you, you need to reject that. And if you think you're alone, and you think you're the only one, the world can be a very, very scary place. And that's why you need to get with people. It might not be me that you connect with. It might not be John Crump, but it might be John Crump. It might be me. It might be anybody out there. You can't feel alone and isolated and desperate, because that's what they want you to feel. And in my opinion, they want to scare you, and they want you to be sad, and they want you to be discouraged. And that's letting them win. I still think that the idea of the United States of America, there's all kinds of crappy people out there. We see them every day. Let's just call a spade a spade. I don't want to be mean to anyone specifically, but there's a lot of crappy people out there. Yeah, there are. And there's a lot of crap with government, of course. But it's still just an idea. And if you don't have the courage, and if you don't have the motivation, what are you going to do? Just crawl in a hole and die? I don't want to do that. And I don't want any of you to do that either. So, yeah, you're perfectly normal. You're perfectly normal if you read where it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Who would even want to argue with that? That they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Who would argue with that? Now, they're going to tell you that you're nuts for believing in this. And that literally needs to be an insult. And you need to realize, listen, dude, for me to believe you requires me to be a lot dumber than you. And you're not very smart. You need to reject people that would tell you that you don't have certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have those rights. If you want to sit there and not exercise them, you want to let CNN scare you into not talking about what you want to talk about, right? Well, then I guess that's your problem. But I would encourage you, to stay strong, because there is a lot of beauty here, and there's a lot of beautiful people that I'm looking at in this chat and all over the place. And that's what I would encourage you guys to do a lot of focus on. Now, you're going to have some decisions to make. Are you going to write the ATF a letter? If you do, what are you going to say in it? I'm not going to tell you what to say, okay? I don't know. But I will tell you this. You have these rights, and I would encourage you to appreciate them and enjoy what's going on. Heck, this isn't necessarily Second Amendment related at all. I mean, it is and it isn't, but I've got an exciting gun video that I'm looking to put out here in far less than a week, right? I'm also looking forward to hanging out with some of you guys tomorrow in Fowlerville, Michigan. That's going to be a fun event. Sergey Petrenko with the super chat. Thanks, man. He says, hi, folks. Who's going to 2A rally tomorrow? I'll be there. If it's the 2A days in Fowlerville, I will be there, man. I hope you're going to be there. I look forward to it. Someone's talking about registering their potatoes. What are you talking about? Someone making a potato gun? Hey, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, right, old Coasty? What else have we got in here? Patriot Benke says, I think it's crazy how our flag even triggers the woke people. Look, dude, everything triggers them, okay? It's like, whatever. I don't even have time to get into the woke people right now. Trust me. I'm going to an event, so tomorrow, I'm going to Fowlerville, Michigan. Going to be hanging out with good friends that are there. My friend Rob will be there. Rick. I think did I see Jane Locke in here earlier? What's happening, Jane Locke? Maybe are you doing good, Jane? Are you going to be there tomorrow? I hope she is. If she's not, I understand, though. She's had a pretty rough road the last month or so. But yeah, I'm going there, and I'm actually going somewhere completely out of the state of Michigan next weekend, and I'll be streaming from that location. Should I keep it all a mystery, or should I let you guys know? Streaming from an undisclosed location, not in the state of Michigan. Right, Chris Plummer? Thanks for being a channel member, man. He says, good night, all. Great stream tonight. Thanks, 2A. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, dude. I'm just going to say bye to you guys here real quick. This is where I'm a little selfish. Like, it's about 11:30, but I don't know. I just like to see who's in here and say hi to you guys, you know? Space Texan, what's happening? How you doing? Carrying a roll of gauze. It's not that expensive and could save your life. A good tourniquet really isn't too expensive either. That's great advice. Tourniquet, probably should learn how to use it, right, Space Texan? Hey, that's why I like it. I like you guys in the chat here. Lots of good advice. Of course, I agree with Space Texan. I wouldn't have thought to bring that up or say it tonight. And that's where you guys come into play, right? I just get on here and, I don't know, give a place for good people and smart people to talk and hang out. That's why I like these streams. Lori DeVries, what's happening? How you doing? She's talking about the 9th Amendment. I love the 9th Amendment. They don't talk about it much, do they, Lori? But if it's not written down, trust me, there's a whole lot more than that. Right, Lori? Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, by the way. Tamarack, Michigan. Love you too, eh? Love you too. Michigan person. Of course I love them, right? I mean, the governor, but the state of Michigan, lots of good people here. That was a big understatement, by the way. The governor, she's a real beauty, isn't she? In a different kind of way. I like that this channel is family friendly, and I always want to keep it that way. But boy, oh boy, it drastically reduces my vocabulary because I just did the math. We said there's going to be 3,601 serial numbers required eventually for the privilege of owning a gun from the ATF, right? Well, the only thing that's greater than that is the things they call Governor Gretchen Whitmer. They actually call her 3,602 things. Here's the problem. Only like 2 out of 3,602 are family friendly enough for me to talk about on here. So I just go back and forth. I'm like, some people call her the governor. Some people call her many things. Family friendly. Some people call her many things family friendly. But we call her a real beauty in a different kind of way. But there's literally, I did the math. This is what I did. Before the stream, I called my technical people because I'm not good at math. And I said, sir, how many names do they call the governor? They said 3,602. I said, wow, what a coincidence. That's exactly one more than how many serial numbers the ATF is going to grant you to be allowed to put on your firearm. I don't know. What do you guys think? And then you know what's going to happen. Then the ATF's going to be like, breaking regulation, breaker 19er. We now require 3,603 serial numbers. And I'm like, come on, Michigan people. We need 2 more names to call the governor. But I'll still only be able to say 2 of them on the stream because the new ones won't be family friendly either. Sergey Petrenko, thanks for another super chat, man. He said, I'm flying low over there, not driving fast. With Ryan Kelly. Do you mean you're actually flying? Like in a plane? If so, that's pretty cool. I liked Ryan when I met him. Hope to get to talk to him again tomorrow, man. And of course you too, obviously. I'd rather talk to you than Ryan Kelly, but he's not bad. I don't know. Sergey I like more, but I like Ryan Kelly too a little bit. No, Ryan Kelly, man, he seems like a really nice guy. Smart guy. I've talked to him a couple times. Jane Locke. I was there with Jane Locke. Let's see here. Mike Henry was at the actual dinner. Who else was I there with? See, that's the problem. I'm going to forget one person I was there with. I was there with awesome, great people, including Ryan Kelly, right? Nicholas with the super chat. Thanks a lot, man. He said, hello, fellow Michigander and others. Awesome, dude. Nice to see you, man. You still have that same cat avatar. You've been around a long time, dude. Awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. And a channel member. Thanks, dude. You're awesome, man. I definitely want to hang out with you, John Crump Live. I want to meet you, a few other people. I don't have time to meet everybody I want to, but as long as I get to meet John Crump and maybe like 1 or 2 other people, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. What are you guys talking about here? Randy Smith says, at 2A, heard a new reference name for our former vice president. It's President Houseplant. Had to laugh. Oh, jeez. Have you guys seen where it says, this reminds me of it. Oops, I just hit the table. I'm talking about the former vice president. He's beating up furniture, boys and girls. No, I just kind of dropped my arm and I worked too hard and my arm fell on the table today. Or I'm breaking it. You guys decide which. Have you guys ever seen the sign where it says president, right? And then they cross out the P where it says resident? Yeah, that's another good one. I always like the old resident. The resident campaign sign. Rachel Weaver was there. Yes, she was. And I didn't miss her on purpose. It's just, I think of like, look, I'm looking at like people's names on the right hand here. If she's watching, but she's probably not, I definitely love you, Rachel Weaver. I owe her like 2 different dinners. This is the famous Rachel Weaver. I'll tell you guys a quick story on the stream for months. For months, because I'm busy and I'm taking the beautiful Jane Locke out to dinner. Do you guys remember this? She's a veteran. She's beautiful. She's my friend. I'm taking her out to dinner, guys, for her birthday. A month after her birthday. Finally, guys, I promise I'm taking her out for dinner. This is where we met Ryan Kelly. Rachel Weaver. Love her to death. I'm like, all right. I tell the waitress, the lady there, Miss Jane Locke, she's on my tab. I got her. There is no tab. It was already paid. I'm like, paid by who? What? Rachel Weaver. So I still owe Jane Locke dinner. Now, it's even more complicated than that. Now I owe Rachel Weaver dinner. I also owe Rachel Weaver dinner for an event we were at in a church a month before that, where she also bought me dinner. Yeah. I've got a huge problem, guys. Too many, like, these are beautiful people, beautiful women buying me dinner everywhere I go, and I'm trying to buy Jane Locke dinner. Anyways, hopefully you guys think that's funny. You guys are all like, people are buying dinner. Where is it at? No, the 2A days in Fowlerville. It was good food last year. It was like, I haven't even got a chance to ask Rob what's on the cuisine. Do you know Rick? I saw Rick Nieper in here, I think, earlier, right? So, yeah, it was good food last time, though. They had, like, the barbecue and everything. I liked it. So, I saw there's going to be food on there. Blue Girl and NCIO, you owe us all dinner. Now, only the beautiful women. I'm chauvinistic. Sorry, guys. I only buy all the beautiful women in the stream dinner. And for all of your husbands that's listening, I'm just buying them dinner, like literally. But still, though, I'm a little bit biased like that. Whereas somebody was asking me something about Tony Parson. Hey, I'm going to answer this question honestly. The way you asked it, and I'm glad you did. That could go 2 ways, okay? He might be setting me up, he might not, but I'll answer it. And I've talked about this before. So do you think everyone in America should be able to own a rocket launcher or grenades? Yes. Do you think convicted felons should be allowed to own any weapon they see fit? Yes. Now, there's explaining that goes with both of those a little bit, but basically, I'll say the felon thing very quickly. If they're so dangerous that it's imminent, look, he killed. If you let him out and arm him, he'll kill again. It's guaranteed in this scenario, or so highly probable it's virtually. Maybe he's not fit to be amongst us in society, because here's the problem. The guns they want to ban, they'll call them AWs, right? The AWB, more people are killed with hands and feet than these certain types of rifles they want to ban. So there you go. So I know, no. Look, if they're not fit to be in society because they're so eminently dangerous, there's probably other recourse or different things for that person. We keep going on this for hours, and I'm just getting ready to get off right now. But yeah, there's more explaining. And if you've been on this channel a while, I've gone into great detail. Yes, Americans should be able to own. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, include all arms. And look, like I said to start this stream, it's only a right if everybody has it. As soon as you take it away from one person, it's no longer a right. It's a privilege, because unalienable doesn't mean most of us. It doesn't mean the powerful. It means everybody. And it means the weakest, especially the weakest. Because if somebody's going with the status quo and somebody has a lot of money and a lot of power, they can always buy what they want, get what they want by their popularity. So yeah, it does. It does cover the minority, the weak, whatever they are. Yeah, that's why it's a right and not a privilege, because privileged people have access to privileges, more money, more whatever, different things like that, right? If it's a right, it's a right, okay? And it doesn't say accept felons or accept whatever in there. It just doesn't. And if they're that dangerous, they should not be amongst us. Do I have all of the answers on exactly how to go about all that? I'm just going to be honest with you, Tony, and everybody. I don't have all the answers. But I do know that if you alienate people, they're no longer unalienable rights. And then one more thing some people will say, and you're not saying this, Tony, so thanks for the question. You're just reminding me of something that other people say. Do you think they should have a nuke? No, but I don't think the government should have nukes either. So I'm kind of consistent on that. I think a nuke is just people trying to play God too much. It's just beyond just regular arms. Some of these modern nukes, especially that are out, are just so insane. If I could just wave my magic wand, there'd be no nukes, period. Okay. That's my answer to nukes. Okay. But yeah, grenade launcher, rocket launcher, of course. Because you know what's funny, Tony? Rich people can already own grenades and rocket launchers. And even people that are middle class and poor, if they prioritize their money enough, they can own them. It's not just rich people, but if you want a nice car, nice house, nice cuisine, all the good looking women in the stream, you're taking them out to dinner every Friday night, you'd have to be rich to do all that and still afford all the tax stamps. Or you could be pretty broke and just prioritize all your money. You can still buy a rocket launcher or a grenade. You just have to pay a $200 tax stamp. And if it's a grenade, it's each grenade. So the launcher's $200. Every time, boom, you blow up a grenade, $200, $200, $200, $200. So, see, and I got lucky. I love it when it's a winning situation. Tony Parson came back. Thank you for answering my question. You're a good guy, and I love your channel. I'd like to hang out with you sometime. Look, Tony, and I mean this. I was going to give you the same answer. I didn't know. He might have been setting me up saying, you're nuts, 2AE to you, blah, blah, blah. He happened to like me still after I gave the answer, but that was just my answer. End of story. And it's funny because when there's these tough questions, I'm going to lose a sub no matter what I say from somebody somewhere. Look, I get hateful messages after all these streams. You're too extreme. You're nuts. You're blah, blah, blah. I'm out of here. Unsubbed. Not a lot of them, but I get them on a regular basis. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Oh, am I going to act like this character to please this guy? But then I'm going to tick off this other guy. So now I have to act in this other character? No, thanks. I don't even know how to act. I don't want to be an actor. So I'm just going to be myself. Some people are going to like me for that. Some people are going to hate me for that. I bet you a lot of you are shaking your head right now being like, dude, I like you as a whole, but I disagree with 3 things you said tonight, but I still like you, and that's totally cool. Because if you guys were doing your stream and there's 3 things that you said that I didn't like, it's still possible for me to like you. It's perfectly fine. There's many people that are very fine people that I like a lot. And I'll disagree adamantly with certain things that they say. And that's okay. But it literally comes down to this. This is why I'm 2AE to you on YouTube. I'm not on the big screen. And I'm not fame and fortune, which I don't want that because most of those people are miserable anyways. But I digress. No, I'm little 2AE to you on YouTube because I don't know how to act. So I'm just going to be myself. And I got really lucky that Tony Parsons still likes me after I told him the honest truth, my opinion. Oh, man. A-dubs, 2AE to you with Superman. I would Superman nukes. Superman 9 the nukes? Is that what you're telling me? Superman 4 the nukes, not 9. That's not an X, that's a V. I would Superman 4 the nukes. I don't like nukes, guys. I really don't. We could talk about it on and off. Like, I get it. Okay, Russia's got the nuke, so we have to have the nuke. And then they have 2 nukes, so we have to have 3. I just don't like nukes. I don't. I'm actually a very, very peaceful person, and too many good people, man. Too many good people. They call it collateral damage. That's not right. Little kids playing. There's burned images of some of the nukes that went off where you can still see the shadow burned in from the person that was standing there before they got pulverized. And did the Japanese government deserve it? A lot of us would probably say yes, sure. But certainly all the Japanese people didn't. I know there's always casualties of war. I get all that. This should be a topic for another week. But A nuke. I don't know, man. It just reminds me of a person playing God, just to be blunt about it. And it's just, I wish they didn't exist. Cruz, thanks for the super chat, man. He says, 2AE to you. Me and my son, Anthony Cruz, want to tell you, we pod 2A all the way. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. Thank you. From Mr. Cruz and Mr. Cruz. It says, me and my son, Anthony. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Is that you, Cruz, or is that Anthony shooting that AR-15 there? Looks like a nice one. A2 front sight. You got an optic going on. Nice rifle, man. Am I Nguyen? I hope I say it right. Nguyen? When? Are you from Michigan? MI makes me think you might be. But if you're from Michigan, I really like you. Hey, even if you're not from Michigan, I still really like you. That's a really generous super chat, man. Oh, I accidentally hit the space bar and took it off. There we go. Thanks for the super chat, man. This channel costs me a lot of money, and I'm not in it for the money. When you guys leave generous chats like this, and you guys send me stuff, and just all the stuff you guys do, like financially, it allows me to put it back into the channel. And in this case, I'm actually going to be able to travel for like the first time ever. Like, it's been like so long, I can't even remember. I'm actually going to be able to leave the state of Michigan and hopefully get access to some really cool stuff to bring some content back to you all that you're really going to like. So, yeah, I put it all to good use, and I appreciate it, all of you. Now, those of you that don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, I love you too. Like, just the encouragement. Because here's the thing. If somebody just came in here and said, here's $100, and then like 30 people said, we hate your channel, you suck, I wouldn't want to come back on. So just the encouragement, people making me feel welcome, hanging out with all of you guys. That's also a huge contribution to the channel. It really is. And I mean that. And you've been very generous, MI, and I appreciate it. I do. Okay, and you're in California. See? Everyone in California isn't bad, guys. Oh, man, I've talked about that many times. Many times. Many fine people in all of the states. All of them. Including even Michigan. Just not the governor of Michigan. I don't know. Me and MI could hang out. Is it me, Nguyen? Me, Nguyen? I have a hard time with certain names, man, but I appreciate it. We could probably sit there and talk all night long, couldn't we? Who's worse, Newsom or Whitmer? We could have a lot of fun doing that, but we'll have more fun just talking about other stuff instead. We'll skip that topic. All right, I'm going to see who else is in here real quick. DB Cooper, what's happening? John Crump, have a nice night, man. I definitely, literally want to hang out with you this weekend. I should at a certain point, Crump. I'll email you tonight or whatever. We should exchange cell phone numbers so we can text each other real quick next weekend. And plus, I'm actually kind of confused when the event starts. Like, is it Friday evening? Is it Friday for setup? So hopefully you can help me out. I'm a rookie and I need some help. I need some help, guys. I'm in over my head, but John Crump, he's going to be my tour guide. No, for real, dude. I hope I see you. And I hope I get to see a lot of you guys. I hope I get to see some of you tomorrow. Jane Locke says, not all is fair in love and war. Many things are off limits, and nukes are off limits in my book. So she happens to agree with me on that. And look, there's very fine people in here that are going to disagree with me on nukes, and that's fine if you disagree. But Jane Locke, Vietnam veteran, she doesn't like him either. What do you think? Oh, real quick, has John Crump gone already? If he's still here, what would you guys think if 280 you got access to maybe like at least touch, if not shoot, a binary trigger Glock? Well, if you beg John Crump hard enough, maybe. I think he knows someone who knows someone. I don't know. He might. You guys literally, hey, he put it out there. I think it's become leaked a little bit now. Binary Glock. What do you guys think about that? Sounds kind of exciting. I know someone who knows someone. And I mean that literally. I know Crump. Crump knows someone else who might. Harass John Crump on his way out the door. David Greenwell says, thanks to EDU. Hoosiers love you. Awesome, man. Dude, Indiana, awesome place. That's where Marksman Shooting Sports, Marksman TV's at. I was there. Awesome guy. And I love driving through the countryside of Indiana. Hurry up, guys, before he leaves. Harass John Crump. He's still here. And maybe we can have something with 2A EDU and a binary trigger Glock. Yeah, literally. Maybe. Hopefully. I definitely hope so. Yeah, we could talk about our governors all day long, couldn't we? Real beauties. But we wouldn't want to. If you came from Cali to Michigan or I went out to Cali, we'd probably just rather shoot guns and look at flowers and fun stuff like that. That'd be way better than to talk about these lovely governors. Just seeing who else is in here on the way out, guys. Channel moderator bots in the house. Thank you. That's another very fine robot. I don't normally like bots, but I do like channel moderator bot. Space Texan, I'm a crumpy boy. I'll get in his ear. Awesome, dude. See, that's the thing. See what I do, John Crump? I go into your stream. Okay? Somehow I coaxed one of your viewers to come over here, and now I'm using him against you. Isn't that awesome? Maybe I should be a bureaucrat. I go into the man's stream. One of his most loyal viewers comes over here, and now me and the viewer are teaming up against him. But it's all good, though. Teaming up against him for good outcomes and good video footage, of course. Not so Slim Jim. Oh, snap. 2A talk. We will. Awesome, Crump. I'll email you my number as soon as I get off of here. Just so I can find you down there. Because I'm not necessarily a Southern boy, but I do love the South. I got to say that. So shout out to all the Southerners. Anyone in Georgia or South Carolina? I'll be staying in that area for a couple days next weekend. Threaded for my pleasure. Nice to see you, dude. Another Michigan guy. He said, great stream. Well, thank you. I'm glad you liked it, man. I am. Yeah, nothing about war is good, is it, Jane Locke? I hear you. I don't like war. I don't like it at all. But there's that old adage, and I think it's true, right? If you want peace, you have to prepare for war. It doesn't mean you want war. You just have to be prepared for it, don't you? We have to be prepared for the ATF and many, many other things. Joel R., hope you have a good week too. Man, this last week was crazy. I'll be honest with you guys. Hey, just working a lot, but I'm getting it done. I'm getting caught up again. I was behind a little bit, but not so much now. By next week, I'll be back on track, and then I'm going to leave the state of Michigan altogether for a few days. Bye-bye, Gretchen Whitmer. I'm going to love saying that. 2A Dave, enjoyed the talk tonight at 2A EDU. Well, thanks, man. Who else am I missing? It doesn't show me everything on this chat, but hopefully I got to say goodbye to most of you anyways. Ronnie Thompson, good night from South Carolina. Good night, man. Black Sword Shinobi, good night to you. Carl Fowler's in Michigan, which means he's pretty much awesome. I'm not going to lie. What's up, Carl Fowler? Ron Wayne, great live stream. You have a good night and weekend too, man. Ronald Yeater says revolution is coming. Police and military will back us. I hope there's a lot of oath keepers out there, guys. I really hope there are. And I know all of us do. Hope there's way more than what some people think. I really do. Ting Ting, what's happening, Ting Ting? Yeah, don't use your full Chinese name. I can't read that stuff. Come on. Keep it Ting Ting. We can spell that. 1, 2, 3, 4-letter word. I just said 4-letter word to her. Love you, Ting Ting. Want to be at Fowlerville tomorrow? Dale's saying. Yeah, Dale's going to be there, I think, right? Car show season starting up, too. Okay, cool. Well, I hope I see some of you guys in Fowlerville tomorrow. There's a video I think you're going to really like coming out in about 5 days from now. Actually, about 4 days and 8 minutes from now. And I'm going to be hanging out with John Crump and many other people a week from now. I'll be streaming, just not literally in this building. So definitely same time, same place, for you guys on YouTube. I just won't be in the same place. So look forward to seeing all you guys next week. And you guys all take care. And I hope you guys are encouraged. And I hope all of you are happy. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. And have a good one.